My name is Randy James. I'm married and my wife and I have 3 children. We've spent most of our life working in education, primarily teaching, both my wife and I, in small private Christian schools. I've also worked as a principal and an administrator, being involved as a young person in athletics and a lot of different things, and just had a varied background, participating in contact sports and so on. So I injured my back actually several times. And so with neck injuries and upper back and lower back and hip and all kinds of things, why, I've visited a chiropractor pretty much all of my life. About 16 years ago, my family moved here to Tennessee, and I began looking for a chiropractor and actually went to a chiropractor for a few years and wasn't really getting the results that I wanted. You know, sit a lot all day long working at a computer, and I'd come home and I'd be sore at night, and then I'd like to be active. I do handyman jobs and I cut firewood and do a lot of things, and so I'd constantly strain myself, and so I experienced a lot of pain. I decided I needed to do something different. So I went on the internet and began to Google chiropractors and came across Well Health and Chiropractic here in Hendersonville, and instantly felt like maybe this was what I was looking for. Combined spiritual and the physical aspects of health, and then emphasize good eating habits, exercise, all of those things. So I scheduled an appointment and came in. Well, the first person I met was Dr. Chapa, and we immediately had a connection. He grew up in Wisconsin, I grew up in Wisconsin. He was a wrestler, I was a wrestler. And as we began to talk, when we found out we also shared a similar faith in God, and what I really liked about him was he was young. So I thought, man, he's young, he's gonna know the newest techniques. I spent several years here coming and getting adjustments, and almost immediately I noticed some changes. I began to feel a little bit better, and actually got to the point where a few years ago I returned to running. And there was a time a couple of years ago where I was running actually 4 miles every other day. But as you get older, wear and tear starts to set in. And so even though I was getting regular adjustments, why I found myself not recovering as fast. You know, I'd go on Saturday and grab my chainsaw and go spend 4 hours cutting wood and splitting wood, and I'd come back, and Sunday morning I could hardly get out of bed. They found out that I had some discs in my spine that were starting to compress, and that had a lot to do with the pain. And so Dr. Randy suggested that I take decompression. Well, my first question was, what does it cost? So Dr. Chapa sat down and we discussed that. They said, you know, if you continue the way you are as you get older, you're probably gonna end up with having to have back surgery. Well, when my dad was in his 40s, he had back surgery and was never the same after that. In fact, I've known several people that they had back surgery and the results were worse than before they had the surgery. So I decided, well, that's not for me. Not only that, decompression doesn't cost near as much as back surgery. So I came in, one of the first people actually that was involved in decompression here, on my lower back. That's where most of my problems were, my lower back and hip. And probably my running kind of irritated that, and it got so I was almost in pain constantly with my hip. And so I came in and they did the laser and brought me in and strapped me into the machine, and I started doing decompression, not really knowing what to expect. They said, you know, you can probably expect some of the initial treatments, there'll be some initial pain, some soreness. Well, I was one of the fortunate people because I didn't really experience any pain, any discomfort. Every week they increased the tension or the weight a little bit more until I got up to where I should be, and went through my first set of 20 treatments. Probably about halfway through the treatment process, why I began to notice that the pain, I was losing some of the soreness in my lower back, so my hip, it was feeling better. And so really was excited about what was happening. Of course, I finished my treatments, and then the doctor suggested that I do maintenance, come in for monthly visits, which I've done now for, man, I don't know, 6-7 months, maybe more than that. I have literally no hip pain anymore, and my lower back pain is really pretty much gone as well. The other thing I've noticed is when I go out and do things I probably shouldn't at my age, which I'm gonna do anyway, the recovery time is, I might get a little stiff or a little sore, but it's only for a day. It doesn't last for weeks and weeks and weeks like sometimes it would. I mean, sometimes it's almost nonstop. In fact, I've told the doctors in the past, I'm gonna live my life how I live it. I'm gonna sit all day at work, and then I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do handyman work, and I'm gonna work around the yard, and I'm gonna do everything I can to destroy my back, and it's your job to keep me able to do what I do. So I'm at the point now, I come in, I do my decompression treatments once a month, I have chiropractic visits every other week, and I literally really don't have any pain at all. I have nothing but good to say about decompression. It's helped me tremendously. And so if you're someone out there that you're thinking, you know, I just don't know about this chiropractic thing, and decompression is expensive, I would encourage you to come in and give it a try. Everybody that I've known that's had back problems where I work and they think about back surgery, and I said, you know what? Why don't you consider just go in and try chiropractic, just give it a shot. My wife, my daughters have all at different times done adjustments, and it's definitely helped us physically. So I'm probably as active as I've ever been. I do things that most 60-plus-year-olds don't do, and do it with no pain and just feel great. I'm so grateful. I'm thankful for the doctors that are here. I just enjoy coming, friendly people, and it's just been a wonderful experience for me. So I encourage you, if you're experiencing any kind of back pain, just come, do the initial exam, and then follow what they tell you. Do what they suggest, and the results, I'm sure, will be tremendous.